Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cherry Bekaert Digital Journeys podcast. I'm Jerry Hereden, and I'm going to be your moderator. Today, we will learn how managed IT services can help your organization and give you a competitive edge in today's marketplace. Joining me today is Dan Hulen, Director of Cherry Bekaert Digital Advisory Services, and also joining me today is Chris Martin, a Senior Manager for Cherry Bekaert Digital Advisory Services. So, without delay, let's get this kicked off. So Dan, tell me about yourself. What do you do for Cherry Bekaert? How long you been at Cherry Bekaert, and kind of what gets you up in the mornings?
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. I've been doing IT-related services for about 30 years now, and I have seen pretty much every aspect of IT that is in the function of IT, from strategic type consulting and regulatory compliance and large program management. I have been a practitioner in global infrastructures and building global data centers and systems and communications and databases. I have experience in vertical applications, whether they be HRMS, human resource type solutions, enterprise resource planning solutions, manufacturing contexts, professional services contexts, as well as cybersecurity. And I serve Cherry Bekaert about 6 years now. I serve as a fractional CIO for some of our customers. Sometimes I'll put on my very technical hat and do CTO type work. I also have responsibility not only in managed services, but we help quite a few private equity companies looking at potential acquisitions. And I head up that initiative for Cherry Bekaert with various folks around the organization, including Chris Martin and other members of Cherry Bekaert Digital Advisory.
All right, thanks, Dan. Yeah, and I'm going to throw in a plug here because we recently did a podcast on fractional CIO services with Steve Holliday. So for the listeners out there, if you haven't listened to it, go to cbh.com and check that one out too. All right, Chris, so same question for you. What do you do for Cherry Bekaert, and what gets you up in the mornings?
Thanks, Jerry. My name is Chris Martin. I've been working in IT now just over 20-something years. My whole career started back in programming and development work. That's where my initial degree was in, and eventually started doing some work in that area. Then got into break it, fix it IT services, and started providing IT services outsourced to a lot of local companies here in the New England area. And that eventually evolved after about 5 years or so doing that. We evolved ourselves into a managed service provider. And that is what has been growing and growing, now at a national level since Cherry Bekaert acquired us about 5 years ago is when I joined Cherry Bekaert through an acquisition. I've been doing IT in all different areas, from engineering, architect work, to end user support, to maintaining, client relationships, and managing those services now for 15 or so years, and now have just recently been promoted to the managed service leader for Cherry Bekaert, and been with Cherry Bekaert for about 5+ years now.
Great. Well, congratulations on that promotion.
Thank you.
So Dan, this question is for you. We're looking at IT managed services. It's broad, complicated. So why do businesses need this type of service?
Thanks, Jerry. That's a great question. Managed services, especially in an IT context, is essentially freeing the business itself to do its main thing. To outsource IT is essentially what managed services is. And there's the function of IT, traditional data centers and servers and desktop type support, client support, backup and recovery, monitoring of the environment, and so forth. But there's also the security aspect that is super important, obviously, in this age of so much ransomware and issues hitting our clients and all companies worldwide. And that is 24/7, managed detection and response, ensuring that you have zero-day attack controls that are in place and agents that are in place across your environment, so that alerts are going to flow up, and engineers that are very practiced and skilled and those types of events are going to take a look at it, especially when you're on vacation or during your weekends, nights, and they're going to take active steps to remediate and stop the bleed. That's such an important factor today. You really cannot get that. Cherry Bekaert does quite a bit in the middle market. And oftentimes in the middle market, we see organizations that are not currently outsourcing. They've got one or two folks that are trying to do all of the functions of IT, no mention of critical business applications, and they really stretch too far. So leveraging a whole team of people that do this on a regular basis, it's the economies of scale, it's better quality, it's better coverage across all the different domains of security. And also want to emphasize, it does allow, coming back to that point, it allows the business to do what it does best. For a company that is manufacturing or doing professional services, and that they would spend time, learning how to do deployments really well of a PC is just not a good use of time. It is better to take technology-oriented people that work for a company and apply them to making the company's products and services differentiated in the market, giving them a competitive edge, innovating the entire organization with a digital transformation mindset. Taking your technical people and applying them to that is going to make a difference in growth, and really that much more fun. And then outsource the things that are just not differentiating.
Yeah, that's something good that I think everyone should think about, because you may have some companies that go, well, I can do this in-house, but it could take them years to perfect that, where someone like Cherry Bekaert comes in with their professionals and their expertise, and they just hit the ground running. Is that a fair assessment?
That's exactly right. I mean, frankly, the days of having a one or two person IT shop that does everything is not a recipe for growth and success.
Okay, thanks. So Dan, what do you see happening in the marketplace? Some of the pain points that companies are facing today. You touched on a few of them just a few minutes ago, especially around security. Is security a major pain point?
Well, certainly security is a major pain point. I mean, factors that are have been affecting companies for the last decade is cloud technology, social technology, the advent of advanced data, and tech itself is becoming that much more sophisticated. People are wanting to connect and do their work remotely. Obviously, with the advent of COVID, and that has completely shifted the way business is operating today with so many remote workers. You have greater opportunity for data exfiltration, especially as workers are at home and they're using their mobile devices or they're using their home computers that their kids use. This is ripe for information to leave the organization. So major factors, obviously addressing the market and having practitioners, again, that are very skilled. It's pretty much like the app paradigm, right? People really took to iPhones and iPads and Android devices because the app was tailor-made for that particular purpose, and it's no different in leveraging managed services. You're getting out of the day-to-day activities. You're relying on a host of people that are protecting your environment that, frankly, you cannot do yourself. And we see more and more of this happening. Every client we talk to, especially that are on heavy growth curves, there's recommendations, and we see this in the marketplace of new managed services that they're acquiring. We see a convergence and consolidation of large managed services providers. Small companies all the way up to large enterprises are shifting to the cloud. It is faster, it is cheaper. And I'll just give you one example of that, again, as factors, is doing this in my history and building up global data centers around the world. It would take 6 months to get equipment in and get it shipped and get it out of exports and stand up these data centers. And now I could build a data center in Europe or Africa, the Middle East, Asia in about a day. I mean, these are substantial factors that just cannot be ignored. They are game changing, and we see so many clients coming to us asking for help.
Thanks, Dan. So Chris, I'm going to turn to you now. So you're the person that goes out and meet with the clients. So what types of services and products does Cherry Bekaert offer? And just tell me about your experience with meeting with clients. Kind of what is your goal whenever you meet with the clients?
Yeah, Jerry, that's a great question. At Cherry Beckett, we like to see ourselves as a strategic partner. And through that partnership, we like to, we want to provide everything to you. We're an all in one shop. So for your IT services, and if we don't have those services in house, we have strategic partnerships that we're aligned with in order to provide those services to you. So that way, at all times, you're going to get a good platform with good service, deliverables with a team that is structured to work for you and to work well together. So through all of that, what do we really provide? We provide proactive monitoring, detection to your IT infrastructure. So that way, you're always being watched. Big Brother's always over your shoulder, making sure everything's operational. Things are operating fast, efficiently. There's no security holes, alerts, problems happening on the network. We're a proactive team, so we try through our network operations center. We're constantly monitoring everything, looking for issues before they're affecting the end users, trying to catch problems before they become bigger problems. We will manage your IT policies and process, your equipment, relationships with vendors. We can provide advisory services for managing IT security. We have a fully staffed service desk from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. EST and expanded hours that now go out to 8 p.m. because we have grown nationally, and we need to cover support from coast to coast for all of our clients. We also have after hour weekend support coverage to make sure that even after hours, if you need to reach us, there's someone there for you for your critical business issues to make sure that you're operational at all times and that you're able to meet your business demands and IT needs. Outside of that, I think that's pretty much, wraps it up as much as I can. Dan, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, I had one other comment, and this is important, especially for our government contractors and again, advent of cybersecurity. We get a number of customers that are doing work with the government and have to adhere to NIST standards like 800-171 or 863, and also CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model. And they're coming to us to say, how do we do it? And so we have capabilities of getting them to alternative cloud providers that are FedRAMP certified, and ensuring that the policies and controls that they may not have had in place are developed. So that is a combination of our fractional CISO type services, again, fractional services that you talked about earlier, Jerry, as well as collaboration and with our risk accounting advisory services group, which does not only compliance assessments. We are a provisional assessor for CMMC, for example, but also much more robust cyber testing. So we do penetration testing, highly technical. We do social engineering testing, attack and penetration, as I mentioned, SOC services. And we also provide, through our Cherry Bekaert benefits, cyber liability coverage. So it is definitely a full stop shop beyond just our digital advisory, MSP, MSSP capabilities here. And I wanted to make sure we noted that.
This question is going to be for whoever wants to take this on. Whenever you're meeting with clients, is there like an aha kind of a moment with a client where they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. It's like they don't know what they don't know kind of a thing. Do you run into those situations?
Jerry, yeah, I mean, I think we run into those situations quite often with clients. A lot of the times, the clients that you're speaking with are not as IT and technical, as they really need to be. They understand their business, but they don't understand how the technology applies to the business. And and they go out and they get a lot of advice and advisory from different vendors, but those vendors aren't really strategically aligned with them because they don't really know their underlying operations, because they don't have any one person who's actually in there that understands everything about their business, about their infrastructure, how they deliver their services, and what do they need from a technology standpoint in order to be competitive in that market. So a lot of times, you get different vendors in there and they throw all these solutions at them, but they're basically throwing solutions like, trying to take the round, peg and putting it into the square hole type thing. And they're just trying to mash all these solutions together. You don't have a strategic aligned partner that is actually giving you the advisory, that you need in order to get to that right point and use those technologies as vendors correctly. And that's where I think we really differentiate ourselves as a managed. So, you hear managed service provider all the time. I say we're a managed service partner. We're not a provider. We're here in a partnership with you. And the only way that we're going to do any good is if it's a win-win. You need to be, getting good advice from us, and we need to be bringing you the right vendors and solutions in order to, improve your business process.
Thanks, Chris. I do think that is definitely a differentiator and a secret sauce for us because we are historically a CPA and advisory company. We understand business. And I say that to our customers all the time, is you're not just talking to practitioners that are bits and bytes and engineers and programmers. You're talking about business leaders in an IT context. We understand that technology is there to grow your company. It is to make an impact on the top line and the bottom line for your organization. And so we take a very holistic approach. When we come in, we will do scorecards for our customers and give them a scorecard that says, how are you doing in governance? How are you doing in your core infrastructure, cybersecurity practices, your application development and DevOps practices, any kind of compliance programs that I mentioned to you. And we also have the ability to drive further into their core financial and value chain processes. So we will walk down things like quote to cash, procure to pay, record to report, demand to available, available to delivery. We'll walk down those core processes that are driving our customers' businesses forward and give them a larger perspective that may hit an ERP solution. It may hit a core cybersecurity need. It may hit a outsourced managed services. And that is not only it's a huge differentiator, but the aha, right? You were talking about the aha moments. We see this all the time when we deal with private equity and we're looking at middle market companies that are ripe for acquisition and growth and professionalization. Oftentimes those groups, they really don't know what they don't know. They think that their software and their systems are great, and that they're going to allow them to scale to 10 times, which is, of course, the objective in terms of private equity and growth acquisitions, and they're just not. The paradigms have changed on building software and building business applications. ERPs are configuration-based. As I mentioned to you about data centers, being able to stand up a data center in a day or a week, well, so too is critical business applications that do a lot. They're configuration-based ERPs and configuration-based financials. And so that's really, for the business leaders, that's the aha. To say, I thought that I had good advice coming in from my managed security services partner or what have you, but that organization is not looking holistically. And when we look at it, we can give them those scorecards, we can provide those roadmaps. It is truly a business advisor.
So one client that I know we help was Film Child and Family Services, and to my understanding, they're a great organization. They work with over 1,400 infants, toddlers, and families throughout Massachusetts. So tell me, what kind of work are we doing for them, and how did we get started with them?
Hey, Jerry, great question. Film Child is a great story. It all started with a relationship that I had previously with John Beavers, who's their current CIO now. He landed in Film Child and right off the bat realized that the managed IT service provider they were having was just not meeting the needs of the organization. Film Child was a company that prior to the pandemic, they did not have much of a need for technology to drive their business. They were basically a paper, business. They took everything in by paper. They did very little data entry and didn't have a huge need for IT infrastructure. All of that changed when the pandemic hit, and they ended up, having to go out to the managed service provider, which they had some of a relationship with because they were hosting some applications with them. And they went to them and they drove them to a traditional IT network with VPN topology, connecting the different networks and locations. They had about 10 to 11 locations they needed to connect, and they were all connected that way. And slowly, right after that was done, they realized the pain points of having, that setup. They have a remote workforce. Majority of their workers, they had 1,000 employees, and you'd say 700 of those employees would be remote workforce. And it just wasn't really aligned for meeting their needs. So they struggled a lot in providing IT support, managing their infrastructure, keeping it up to date, and just really needed a huge realignment. And John reached out to me, was really frustrated, and due to our past relationship, wanted some advice from me. And slowly, obviously, my advice was, I think you need to cut your ties and look at another provider. And here we are. I'm now with Cherry Bekaert, which he didn't realize at the time that I had moved on, and we were able to align all of our services and provide everything that they needed. We have started off by doing a ton of new IT projects for them, realigning all of their IT services, moving them more to cloud services to improve their overall IT infrastructure, and to provide better end user support services, which we have done and have gotten very good feedback on in the first 60 to 90 days that we've been servicing them.
So I know all clients are special, but I would think home child and family services, that just for what they do, it's even more rewarding to work with an organization like that. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, Jerry. What I find best about working for an organization such as Stone, it's the people behind the mission. I enjoy interacting with different people, and when you get into a nonprofit organization that deals with children, that have needs. I have children myself, and even my own daughter has their own needs and had some educational needs and help that was needed. And to see these people and what they do and the sacrifices they make in order to provide those services is just tremendous, and they're just great people to work with. I have really enjoyed all of my time and all the people that I meet there and interacting with them, and just really helping deliver those services in a much better way. Because happy clinicians will make sure that they have happy customers. So
That's right. I do want to also add on to that one, Jerry. It's a really great question. Just personally, I'm married to a person that was involved in early childhood education and early intervention, so I have some history there that goes way back. But one of the things that really connected is in our first presentations with the executive leadership, we made a strong point about how important relationships are for us. The executive director for Home Child that connected with her tremendously, and we continue to enjoy that mutual commitment together today.
Well, with that said, thanks again, Dan and Chris. I found today's conversation very insightful, and I hope the audience found it meaningful as well. And we learned a lot of great things about managed IT services and the importance of doing it the right way. As always, please like, share, and subscribe to our Digital Journey podcast. For more information about Cherry Bekaert's digital advisory services, please visit us at cbh.com/digital.